Good morning, it's Jo here and welcome to Jo Avalon's Cuppa Chats. And today with me I have Serene Conneeley. Welcome.
Thank you, welcome, hello.
Yeah, I have been actually really looking forward to this conversation because I guess we've been having kind of bits and pieces of email conversations and catching up in quick heads round the sides of petitions at events, but no time to really have a good, nice conversation. So I've really been looking forward to this morning. I guess I've been following your writing for a little while, perhaps a few years, I guess, when you first, or maybe not first, but probably partway into the Storm trilogy, yeah? Because for me, that was the first trilogy I came across, but it's actually not your first trilogy, is it? Because your first trilogy is the Into the Mists trilogy, right? Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So I could have come into your stories, I was going to say arse around, but now I've just said that, so. And yeah, our first opportunity to have a really good face-to-face conversation was at Mind, Body, Spirit earlier this year, which was a very strange time actually, because it was our last, for you definitely, and for me, definitely, sorry, I meant that the other way around, our last face-to-face public event before we were all obliged to kind of pack up and race home. Yeah, how different things look now, but how amazing to have some books to hang out with and to dive into. So that was in March, and that was the weekend that you were actually launching this beautiful book, The Swan Maiden. So tell me about The Swan Maiden.
It's an original Australian fairy tale.
Yep.
And it was inspired by, I've got a park just across the road from us, and there's a Swan family there. So I've been kind of watching them grow up for the last few years, and two of the couple have stayed. So they've had a few different batches of babies, and they just had another lot last week.
Yeah, so how do you know that it's the same ones?
Mostly there's a couple of people I follow who totally into swans and know heaps more than I do about them, but once a couple find a place that they feel safe having their family, they either stay there pretty much full time or return each year to have babies. And the biggest one has a little mark on his whatever you call their faces.
Oh, yeah. What do you call their faces? Their faces, I suppose, on their heads, the same as us. So it's got a mark, a tattoo.
That's right.
And is that the male, do you think?
Yes, apparently so.
Apparently so, yep. Oh, cool. Wow. I have watched a few of your videos, particularly the last one where you were talking about how close you got to the water while you were videoing them.
Yes, fell in a bit of a ditch of water and stuff, but it was worth
it. Worth it. It was a good video, and look, it never shook, so you know, you never knew that you'd kind of had that. You have a very steady hand happening there. So from watching the swans, how did you kind of come up with or you know, hit upon writing a fairy tale?
I've been in the Australian Fairytale Society for a couple of years now, so every month or two we study a fairy tale and then meet up to talk about it, although the last meeting was also on Zoom because we can't do that anymore. But we try to look at things from an Australian perspective, and so many of the fairy tales are from overseas. And there's some Australian writers doing them, but a lot of them are still set in Europe or a Europe-like place. So I'd always wanted to do one set here. And there is a Swan Maiden fairy tale, but it's totally different to mine, where there's 6 swan sisters and they take off their feathers and dance on the lake, and a guy steals one and traps her into marriage, which is kind of a horrible fairy tale.
Absolutely. There's nothing fairy about that, is there? No.
Right. It's like the Selkie story. So they have children, and one day the daughter finds her feathers and she gets to go away, but then she has to leave her family. So it's her kids anyway. So yeah, it's that kind of, well, that's where the title is, I guess, from, but I wanted her to have agency and for the swan to be making the choice rather than having it taken from her.
Been taken, absolutely. And you get that feeling all the way through. It's a very feminist story. And I was looking for that word. You're right. Thank you, because agency is absolutely the right word for that. And even right at the end where I'm just thinking, crap, spoiler. She is faced with another choice. There we go. How's that? The main character, the Swan Maiden herself. Yeah, I just was really kind of like, I think I cried through the last chapter. I think I told you that. I poked my head around and I said I finished it and I cried, which is a mark of a good book, really, for me. I cried for hours. That's a 10 out of 10. But yeah, it's got such a way with words to actually bring those emotions forward. So in fact, you're feeling everything that the Swan Maiden herself feels. So, you know, it's almost like you're in her feathers, you know, in her skin as well, as she's feeling that and working her way through learning human emotions and making decisions through those. Yeah, it was a very emotional story, but at the same time I could step out of it and see that, you know, she had agency. I've never been into fairy tales because to me they've always felt like I think you just mentioned a sense of hopeless or helplessness, particularly for women. Like, women in fairy tales never fare well. They're never the protagonists unless they're nasty, and they're always depending on someone coming and saving them. And I kind of got really bored with fairy tales because of that, I suppose. But I love this reimagining it from a woman's perspective with agency. Yeah, it's beautiful. So do you have more? Do you have more in your mind?
I do, yes.
You do? Oh, good. Okay. Sorry?
I also loved that it was set in Australia, because
yes.
my first 6 novels were all set in England, so
yes,
that was really nice.
Yes, absolutely. And you know, you can recognise the places. I love reading Australian set books, novels, because you recognise yourselves in them. The places you go to, and you know, set in a zoo and I guess other parks across the harbour. I mean, I can't place where that park is, but it doesn't really matter. It could be any park, couldn't it? Yeah.
And our seasons and
yes, yeah, and our crazy roads and suburb names and yeah, it's very yeah, Australia. I'm just trying to think because I remember when you were having your online launch for the Swan Maiden along with Selena and it was KA last, wasn't it? That's right. Selena came in, but it was you and KA last. What is KA last's first name? Kim. Oh God. Okay. I can't keep calling it KA. It's Kim. No. And you were talking about the Fairy Tale Society, and that was a really interesting. What do you call it? Sorry, what I'm doing is I'm picturing the online talking about it, and I don't have the word for it. Because event doesn't kind of cover it because it's an online thing. Segment. That's the word I want. Sorry, Serene. I see. I don't think I can't do it. The segment where you had the other lady from the Fairy Tale Society come on, and Jo. Oh, Jo. Why didn't I remember that? Oh dear. Maybe I should edit these. Oh gosh, where did I want to go with that? Well, one, I didn't realise there was a Fairy Tale Society, but then when I went and had a look at it while you guys were talking about it, I realised that, you know, there were some other people who were members of that whose names are recognised as well. But so does that mean that there are lots of authors who are now writing stories from an Australian perspective? Fairy tale stories from Australians.
I'm not sure if they're set in Australia so much, but there's also a lot of artists in the group and storytellers, like performing storytellers, all kinds of people who just love fairy tales. And
right.
Yeah, so Lorena Carrington, who illustrates Kate Forsyth's fairy tale books, is in it as well. She's amazing. Lots of creative people.
Yes.
A lot of academics as well who are doing research into the topic. And so we have fascinating chats.
Absolutely. Over tea.
Yes.
Over tea. What tea cup have you got today? Or it's a mug really, isn't it?
Yes. It's artwork by Selena Fennick.
Absolutely. Is it one of hers, or is it one of hers from that she's used for your book? That you've used? It is just one of hers. Yeah. Oh, beautiful. Pardon?
Lady of Earth. She did the elements.
Okay. You have all four, right?
No, well, I had one of the others and I broke it.
Damn
it. I also have Ravenkin, which is one of my other favourites of hers.
Okay. You really did bring 2 cups of tea.
Yeah. I was thinking I should have teacups, but they're way too small for a long chat. So.
Absolutely. I only came in with the small cup and it's a boring striped one.
It kind of goes with your fish.
Yeah, I suppose so. I guess I have to show everyone else because I've only shown you. This is our other love. And why this is so funny is that honestly, I've just been working day in, day out, and I've just been doing head stuff, like website and putting products up on the website and yada yada, just trying to get on top of things. And I've got these creative projects happening in my head and I can see them and I'm thinking, I've got to make them, but when am I going to do it? How am I going to stop myself from going onto Facebook and all the rest of it to catch up with whatever I'm missing out on, you know what I mean? So I thought, no, I'm going to put on, and I raced down to Lake Haven and bought The Rise of Skywalker. And I went, I'm going to have a Star Wars day. And I did. I turned off Facebook. Oh, and actually, I didn't completely turn it off because, the sales are still coming through, but which was great. Yeah, poor Serene here had to receive my constant comments about different classic lines along the way. But anyway, it was a fantastic day. I mean, three watches over about 12 hours. Like, it wasn't back to back, but it was rewind, start again. Well, actually, it's not rewind, there's no video. But I made product and I made crystals and I was really happy with it. But what a great story. And what I'm really loving about the most recent ones is the agency of the women who are in it. And I guess that's something that has been, I guess, in the original 3, Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith. Picking off my list here.
They're the sequels, though. They came second after the originals.
Yes, that is true. That is true. But I guess what I was going to say about those was they're very still male-oriented. I mean, the women in it are not peripheral because, of course, you've got Leia and a few others, but I just find that in the last 3, it's the main characters are women and men, not women or men, but women and men. And it's like the group is kind of expanded to make sure that there's enough of each, And it's not feeling like it's about equality or a quota. It's feeling about these are the characters and this is what they're doing, and they've all got agency. What do you reckon? Yeah, I didn't know we were going to go. What do you think? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the originals had Leia, who actually saved the guys a couple of times, which I always loved.
Absolutely.
As well as R2-D2, of course, who always saves the day.
Yes.
And I did love Padme from the prequels, where She was the politician, and she also saved them a few times. But yeah, this one definitely felt more inclusive, I guess, and that they're just important. And
oh, sorry, I've just frozen a little bit. Can you repeat that? Whoa. Sorry. Yes, you're back, or I'm back. I'm not sure which. Can you say that again? I think we got to Padme, and after that, I missed the rest. I know that was an hour ago. Sorry.
Yeah, just I do love all the characters in these ones especially, and I love their friendships more than anything. Like the three main characters and how they're all just such good friends.
Yes, yes. And even if they haven't got the same ideas, they end up coming around and working together anyway. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, with your two trilogies set in England, so you've got one based around Carly, who is an Australian girl who goes to England, and then you've got the other one set around Rhiannon, who's an English girl in the same village that Carly goes to. And I read the ones based around Rhiannon first, and now I've come to Carly, which are the Into the Mists ones. Do you, I guess there seems to be there's a very strong front and centre women's themes and women's empowerment and agency through all of your books, actually. Not just because they're at the centre of your story, but I guess the journey of working through emotions and what does this emotion mean, and how do I relate to other people, and what do I I guess the journey through the paganism, the learning the craft in situ, not just as something that's outside of you and you draw in, but actually learning in situ. A very strong theme. Is that something that's kind of mirrored your life?
I guess so. Some of the rituals that her grandmother, who's a priestess, runs in the village are rituals I've done. And I did go to Glastonbury, which is where it's sort of set, a fiction of Glastonbury.
Can feel that, yes.
I've done some rituals.
Wow.
In the goddess temple there. So yeah, it's kind of, I've had a few reviews saying there's no magic in it, but it's because it's real magic and what pagans are doing every day now.
Yeah.
And long.
Well, life is magic, really, isn't it? Everyday life is magic. And there's magic in the sun rising and the sun setting and the moon rising and and watching the stars move around the heavens and all of that stuff. How is that not magical?
Absolutely.
I know what they want. They want you to wave a wand and to go Expelliarmus or whatever it is that he says. And someone to go flying across the room. You can't write some of that into it, can you? No, that's not what magic is about. Hey?
It's a few women who may or may not be really there, but yeah. And I do love all that stuff. I love the Harry Potter books and stuff, but this was just, I guess, more from my experience and maybe not having quite as much imagination as JK, because the world she created is incredible.
Absolutely incredible, but I don't agree with you there. There's no way that you don't have as much imagination, because there's so much detail in the books. Like it's detail central, really, and even in the in the rituals that you write and the spells and the chants that the girls say together and the descriptions of their settings, whether it be the halls or the community rooms that they do their rituals, or any of the woodland scenarios. There's so much detail there to be able to picture that and then put that in words. Yeah
Thanks.
You've got lots of imagination. Don't go comparing yourself like that again. Thank you.
I can't wait to hear what you think of the Mist series compared to the Storm ones because you're reading it in the other order?
Yes. Well, what I've read Into the Mists and I finished Into the Light, and I've gone a little way into the dark, but I have put it down for a moment because I bought The Cobra Queen by Tara Moss, and that requires immediate reading because I want to savor Into the Dark, because that's the last one of your novels that I have. So like, you know what it's like when you get to the end and you go, but there's no more. But you know, having read 2/3, and it amuses me actually that Into the Mists is a relatively slim book, and then we got carried away. No, I'm actually really enjoying the Into the Mists. I think more so than the other, and I think it might be the characters. I think I'm enjoying the Carly character differently, more so than Rhiannon's character. But I haven't reached the end, so I don't know quite whether I'm still going to think that. But at this point, that's what I'm thinking. But it's real. What I am really enjoying is the being able to examine similar. And you know, for me, I'm always looking for patterns. It's just, I guess it's a human thing, but I particularly look for connections and patterns and things. And so it's kind of like, oh, what was it that Rhiannon did around that particular situation? Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah, that's what Carly was thinking about that. Oh, how interesting is that? Oh, gee, she really misunderstood that. Why did she do it that way? You know, so it's kind of like it's like being able to you know, freeze frame a situation, then go round to the other person's side, and then go back into the other person's side and look at the situation from all perspectives. So it's a very physical reading, as you can see. Does it feel like that from your perspective?
Well, it was interesting because when I wrote Into the Mists, it was after I'd written Witchy Magic with Lucy, which is non-fiction. So it kind of just came out of all the research for that. And I thought, oh, I'll just see if I can write a novel. And I did it during NaNoWriMo, which is National Novel Writing Month.
Yes.
I try and write 50,000 words in 30 days.
Yes.
And I thought, it's only a month. If it's terrible, it doesn't matter.
You haven't wasted much time. Yeah.
And that's why it just says a novel on the front. And then I kind of, as I was editing it, I thought, oh, maybe I could write another one. And then there was a third one. And then my husband actually said, I'm not sure you're fair to Rhiannon. Like, I'm sure she's got her own story. So I said, I'll write you a little Rhiannon book. And that became the 3 massive Storm books. Yes,
because they are. But Rhiannon's story isn't, I mean, they're much different. It's just for everybody else, you know, of course, because these are yours, but but you know, Rhiannon's story isn't just about Rhiannon, it's about her mum as well. So Beth gets a big airing in there as well. So it's no wonder that the books are so large. It's because there's 2 stories in there woven together, which is it's 2 for the price of 1, really, isn't it? Because you kind of,
you became my favorite.
Say that again, sorry.
She became one of my favorite characters, which was really strange because in the Mist series, she's just sort of a passing comment from Rhiannon to Carly one day.
Yeah.
And then somehow she decided she wanted her story told too. So.
Yeah. Did you write those kind of side by side, or did you do kind of Beth's story and Rhiannon's story separately? Yeah. That process must have been interesting.
Yeah, it took a lot putting it all back together.
Right.
Because I have friends who do an outline and are able to follow that, so they can just start writing and they write from start to finish, but I don't, which makes it a lot harder at the end. But I just kind of write as it comes to me and somehow figure it out, work out what's missing and what I have to write again, add to it.
Yeah.
So
that's very organic. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you, Jazz, for that.
I know a few times I was like, thank you. 3 very intense years.
That's where he made the most cups of tea for you, right?
Right.
He thought, well, I better do this. I got her onto this particular path. I better support it with lots of cups of tea. Because you write that thank you at the end every time about all the cups of tea that he makes.
Yes.
Oh gosh. What else do we I'm sure we have something else in common. So what else would that be? We haven't discovered that yet. Yeah.
Interesting thing is that I thought you'd probably like my non-fiction most, but they're the ones that you haven't. This was my first book.
Yes. And it's funny because they're the first ones I actually did. I didn't buy them. A friend of mine had them, and she was doing a clear out of books she was no longer reading. How's that? And I thought, oh wow, sorry. No, but that's how I came to have them. So I thought, oh wow, awesome. I would love to have those books. But I haven't delved into them yet. I often buy books. I'm sure you're the same. I buy books because I go, oh, I know there's something in there that I want, but I haven't got time to get into them just yet. So they're there. But no, so tell me a little bit about those, because there's 3 of those.
Yeah, there's the that book, and I did a kind of half journal, half how to write your own story and work with the seasons and the moon cycles.
Yes.
And then I did a meditation CD that went with that as well.
Yes, yes.
Which is still weird to me because I hate talking, so I kind of don't even know how I did that. And then I did the 3 books with Lucy Cavendish, which was Witchy Magic, Mermaid Magic and Fairy Magic.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I guess because I'd been a journalist all my life, the non-fiction came easier in the beginning.
Yes.
And one of the last magazines I was at, I was doing a spiritual page every week, interviewing Doreen Burt-Dewan, all those kinds of people.
Yes.
So when I left there, one of the publishers said, what book are you going to write for us? And so that was how that book started.
Right.
Now, yeah.
But you're self-publishing though.
Yeah, I ended up giving them their money back and cancelling the contract and doing it myself.
That's a really brave step.
Yeah, it was it's an interesting and long process, but I'm really glad I did. And the publisher saw me 2 years later at an event and saw all my books and went, well, you made the right decision. So that was nice.
Well, that's interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess too, being self-published, there's that element of agency again, isn't it? It's being in control of your own work and how you market it and what order you bring them out in, and you're not dependent on a publisher deciding if yours or another book's going to come out first, regardless of what they've said. I don't know the ins and outs, but you hear a little bits. You make your own timelines, don't you?
That's right. Yeah, and that was part of the issue, was the postponing, and I just wanted to kind of write the next book, so
yeah,
that was part of it.
Yeah. So it's your full-time passion, right?
Kind of. I had a sort of officially part-time but kind of full-time job in magazines up until 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But, closed them down. It was a good opportunity, I guess. So
yeah,
I'm taking out my savings and the little bit
that you make from books.
And hopefully soon it will become full-time.
Awesome. That's good. It's good because and I guess these are the purpose of these chats really is to show the way that we're doing things differently to what you see. And when we see a book, we don't know what work goes into that, and we don't know the processes. And for me, the product is interesting, but the process is fascinating, so it's always a joy to be able to talk to someone who can talk, who wants to talk about that, and can share that, because I think it becomes that reading, or that connecting to that story becomes even more personal when you can see it in the context of the writer itself. Maybe not all writers want that, but I think it's cool. Oh dear. So I guess for my next creative thing, I'm going to be putting on the Rogue One again.
Excellent.
So replace the laptop with my DVD player and plug the speaker in and start. I've got a macrame project in mind, actually. So I've kind of got everything together, and I now need to make it. So I guess, do you feel like that too? Like, how do you clear your desk ready to sit down and write?
Well, hubby would say that I never clear my desk because I'm a little messy compared to him.
But he's not here in the interview. We're talking to you.
Some days it's harder than others. But you just kind of have to sit down and try and write.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even when you don't feel like it.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes, especially then.
Right. Why is that?
Yeah. I don't know. It's hard because, a lot of people ask me how you write a book at events and stuff, and a lot of them just haven't started. They say, I did a bit and then I was waiting for inspiration, and you can't, because it's not always there. You just have to keep writing, I guess.
Yeah, keep writing until something appears, and then you take off.
Yeah. I always find my story as I'm writing it anyway, so.
Right.
Yeah. It's a bit of pressure at the beginning, but it eventually unfolds.
Do you talk to people about it before you start, or do you kind of keep that quiet so that there's no external pressure?
I've got a writing group, a few friends on the Central Coast, actually. So we chat sometimes. I think for the Swan Maiden, I said, I want to write about a little girl who, she's sad, and there's a swan there, and the swan transforms into a woman to help her. So that was kind of all I had for that one.
Wow. Yeah.
And Into the Mist was a girl goes to England and finds her grandmother, who she didn't know she had, and there's a cottage that may or may not be there.
Yes, I loved that. Yes. Yeah.
So that turned into 6 books. So
that's right.
Once I get started, I'm usually okay.
So there's more Swan Maidens coming then, right? Working your way through the pantheon of fairy tales.
There's a duck over there who just had 10 ducklings. So
oh, ducks. I think the next one's about ducks. You heard it here first. Well, maybe not. Maybe it was in your group first, but
no, they're sweet.
Well, we have lots of ducks. So I live at the southern end of Lake Macquarie, just sort of round from Swansea and in Guandolen. And we have a lot of ducks here. We've got lots of bird life, but regularly there are ducks, and most people slow down for the ducks. If there's ducks and their families crossing the road, it's wait for the ducks to go past, and then past again. I don't know if you ever watch the car show, the one with the 3 mad guys who race around racetracks and do mad things with cars. I can't think of it. Richard Hammond and Jeremy and anyway, it's not ringing any bells for you. Anyway. Oh, have I? Oh, it's the internet. Am I back?
Yeah, you are.
Okay, good. Anyway, in this English show, I can't think of the name because I'm on the spot now and I can't think of it. But what I wanted to say was that they've got this racetrack where every guest comes on and does a lap around this racetrack to get the best time, and it's a whole competition thing. Anyway, it's called Gambon Raceway, right? well, I live on Gamban Road. I liken it to that raceway. It was a long way to get there, but that was the connection. So whenever I can hear this, I'm like, oh God, they're on Gamban Raceway again, around the so I love it when people slow down and let the ducks cross the road to the other side. If they're smart, they all cross the road. They don't stop halfway and go back again. But it's really nice on our local group page where people talk about the duck families that they see and, observe how many little ducklings there are, running along with their parents and stuff. So, yeah, can't wait for that one. No pressure, sorry. Oh, gosh. You'll have had enough now, right? And I was watching your interview on the Witch Lit podcast, which is run by two women writers in the UK. So that was really interesting, and you alluded to another story there that you think may be brewing.
Yeah.
Rose's story.
Oh yes. Yeah, the grandmother in the Miss series.
Yeah.
She's been a lot of people's favourite character.
Yeah.
And I have one NaNoWriMo, I did write 50,000 words of her story.
Oh.
So kind of, yeah, I'll definitely do it.
Yeah.
But she's a wise woman, and so I'm worried maybe I need to be a bit wiser. I don't know.
You reckon? You reckon?
I just thought, oh my God, here's me going, I'm writing the story of a wise woman. But yeah.
But who better? You've written all of the others. Why not? I mean, you've written a lot of her. She's never been a peripheral character in either of those, in the Mists or the Storm trilogy either. She's an integral character in all of those books.
And also in the two mothers' stories as well as the daughters.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I will do that one.
Yeah, I think that'd be awesome, because that would be powerful. Yeah.
Mm.
Sorry, no pressure. Oh, well, look, in divine timing, isn't it? It'll come out when it's right, and you'll just put pen to paper and start, and it'll be right when it's right. Yeah. Yeah.
It was funny, when I wrote the first novel, I thought, what if I never have another idea again? And yeah, I think once you start, you do keep thinking of new things you could do. And
yeah,
last November I wrote 50,000 words of another, possibly trilogy, and that one's set in a sort of Blue Mountains area. So to get back to that soon too. Yeah.
So are you planning to do more Australian-based work?
Yeah, I'd like to. And this one will probably fit into the fairy tale type world. Not that they're traditional fairy tales, but just that kind of, that has elements of those and the little bits of magic and transformation.
Real magic. Oh, cool. Oh gosh. No, I'm just trying to picture, the mountains are often a setting for books, but now I'm just trying to think what they are. Never mind, we'll leave that thought. I wish I could edit that one out.
We can chat about it later online.
Yeah, that's it. Oh gosh. All right, well, do you want to finish now? Is there anything else that you wanted to share, or?
I think that covers most of it.
So just for those who are watching, The Swan Maiden is your most recent book, and that is what I'll do is I'll share the links to your website, which is how people can purchase their books. Your books, all of your books. I've got a few, but you've got all of them.
Sure do.
That's right. So people are welcome to have a look at both of us. So whatever. Yeah. So I'll pop those on the end there, and your publishing company is Blessed Bee Books.
Yeah.
How did you come with that name? I love it.
Well, Blessed Bee is kind of a witchy sentiment, but my hubby always calls me a little bee, because when we go for walks through the neighbourhood, I'm always stopping to smell the flowers. So,
oh, so cute.
To kind of sum up both.
That's so cute, because I did notice that it was the BEE, so I thought, oh, how interesting. But yeah, that's very cute. So there's a bee with everything. Yeah, I love it. Oh, yes, that's right, the little blessed bee. I think that's a great touch that you've got the little bee as your publishing icon on all of your books. I think that's very cool.
And I wasn't sure it would fit on this one, but it
did. So you do the graphic for that, right?
Yeah.
You do, yeah. Very talented, Serene. Oh dear. Well, I've really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for coming and having a cuppa with me and a chat about your books. I really love it. Thank you. You're most welcome. I look forward to doing it again.
Yeah.
Say that again, sorry.
I've been loving talking Star Wars with you too.
That's it. I know, because my husband's at the first three, the original three, Die Harder. But he's not inclined with the new ones. So I've had to enjoy by myself. And no. So it's been really nice to be able to share my Star Wars nerdism with you. And you indulging my messages at ungodly hours while I'm watching. Oh God, what's she up to now? Oh yes, that was a good scene, Jo.
My hubby's mostly original trilogy too, but he does love the new one a lot.
Yeah. I think the second three, the ones that I mentioned as being the first, I know that they're not, they're just been rearranged. I enjoyed them, but I found they were just they had too much romance in them. And it killed it for me, right? Too much emotional romance. I just want to get into the racing around and the ideas and the doing stuff and the saving stuff, all right? I know love's important, but there's a time and a place. So I've kind of really enjoyed that. That's very low key. There's elements of it there in the last three. There are elements of it, but it's very low key. So I'm kind of much more comfortable with it.
I love that too.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, it's the friendship that's important. And I guess, that's a theme through all of your books too, isn't it? The strong friendship, the women's agency and the friendships, and the importance of friendships. Yeah. All right. Well, I've really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for coming and coming online rather. And coming online. And yeah, I look forward to catching up with you again.
Yeah, cool.
Okay. All right. See you.